Alrighty, let us see if we are live. Hello to everyone in the chat. We're just getting started here. We've got John on the line. My dog thinks
I'm also here.
My dog thinks something's going on because I'm talking. Yeah, nice to see you guys. Tamsin, Fiery Phoenix, Shergol, Michael Tenery, Solo Spirit. Welcome to the chat. Bit of a late one for us, but in 30 minutes we are going live with our 12th Kickstarter, which is kind of crazy. If you hear some weird tapping in the background, it's my dog. My wife is out of town. I'm actually having to film this from my home office, which is nowhere near as fancy as my office. But John is in my office.
I am in the office.
Yes, and has access to some of the things that we've made, and we might show and tell a little bit via video, although the quality won't be as good today as it normally is. Not that, we have fantastic equipment or anything, but yeah, it is nice to see you guys. Hey, that Blasted Samouflage, welcome, Brian. Nice to see some familiar faces, and if you do have the chance, like and share the stream, because in this case we are getting ready for our Fifth Frontier War launch. So usually we have the tradition of watching the pitch film before anything else. I haven't really prepared anything ahead of time, so I might just run the version of it I have on my system. So I'd ask John to mute. And
Muting, sir.
And I will just play the pitch video. It's short, it's sweet, it's simple. Our friend Hannes over at Mr. Train Nerd himself did the filming and editing, and yeah, we just had a great time making it. So let's get into that, and you can have a preview. It's actually up on YouTube already, I realized, and I actually put it as a trailer on this video, but even so, let's have a quick squiz.
Hi, I'm Ben from Second Dynasty. For the last few years, it has been awesome to bring classic Traveller and T5 designs to fans with 3D printers. Although it always bothered me just a little bit that we couldn't design for the version of Traveller that we actually play here at the office. But in 2024, nothing is off limits. We are thrilled to present an officially licensed tie-in to the Fifth Frontier War. Fight as the invading forces of the Zidani, or defend the Third Imperium as Imperial Marines, or just play as Travelers caught in the crossfire. No 3D printer? No problem. We have once again partnered with John Games to make a limited print run of our Fifth Frontier War designs exclusive to this campaign. We need your help to make this project happen, and the more people that get involved, the more miniatures, tanks, and vehicles we can unlock. Back today, with your support, we'll be able to bring Traveller content to your tabletop for many years to come. Hi, I'm...
Don't know, Loop. Hurrah! I come clapping, sir.
You were clapping. Thank you, John. Very nice. So yeah, that was our video for this time around. Not as fancy, but lately I kind of find, these office-based things are a little bit more genuine, really.
They sure are, sir. It's the authentic Second Dynasty experience.
Indeed. Oh, I need to turn my camera back on too, I realized.
Yes, we need to see
Let
you.
me just put it there. There we go. So, I apologize for my appearance. The last couple of days have been exhausting.
The blurry webcam helps, sir.
The blurry webcam helps. It's really not good in the dark. I could probably actually light myself up a bit better if I wanted to, but there we go. That's slightly better. Now I can see my screen better.
So
Anyway,
tell us about the Fifth Frontier War.
This is about the oh yes, I shall. So as hinted at in that introductory video, and mind you, what you're seeing in front of you is not live at present. We're going to hit that in about another 25 minutes. But yeah, we want to get a little bit of momentum so we can kind of get the pledge training going on and whatnot. So at the start of the year, I think this is recent news, but I think without them telling me 100%, I had pretty strong confirmation that Mark Miller was signing over the license for Traveller to Mongoose Publishing, because Mongoose Publishing approached me and said, hey, we're handling the license now. So that was a bit obvious. We renegotiated. I'm just going to lower my microphone volume a little bit because I can see I'm a little too loud there. So this should be a little bit better, I think. Not as much peaking. And yeah, essentially, after a discussion, back and forth with Mongoose, we renewed our license, or rather, we went over the license, we renewed it for the initial period it was meant to be covering, so that is until December 31st next year. And then we started discussing what we could do, and I did mention to Matthew and Cassie over at Mongoose that I have a strange relationship with Traveller, because I have my favourite sort of periods art-wise, but the version that I've played for the most part has always been Mongoose Traveller. And it was a little bit frustrating not being able to appeal to Mongoose Traveller players, who I assume are probably in the majority when it comes to Traveller in the modern day. And now this was open up to us. And, Matthew expressed greatly being interested to see more Traveller content and liking what we do and wanting basically every model we ever made of Traveller in their office. So that was definitely a positive, great start there. And we kind of started discussing what we could actually do, because I think it's pretty public knowledge that we've done some big ships, and they've taken a very long time to design, and haven't been like we've just made things work as if we scraped by with no profit, you might say. We've been operating quite a long time on just like plus minus zero, essentially. Mm-hmm. And that's not likely to change anytime soon, because apparently, or at least John has said, I'm too nice of a boss, but
I'm saying maximize the profits by putting way less care into the products.
Yeah, I mean, we probably weren't thinking of ourselves so much when it came to pricing or licensing or that sort of thing, and it's a funny balance anyway. But after talking with Matthew and that sort of thing, I said, okay, let's give Mongoose Traveller a try. And I thought, okay, one way that's not as high risk for Second Dynasty is if we don't go and design a huge big ship, but rather focus a little bit more on miniatures, because I knew that Mongoose had some pretty cool character designs that would be nice to use, and I could obviously see from playing the game that the art has been increasing in quality over the years. Aesthetically, not as in love with the Mongoose direction of some of the ships and whatnot. That's just a personal preference. But I found that it pays to actually talk to them, because I think the direction we'll go in the future, if we do another large ship, will be a case of I'm designing something that's aesthetic. I choose a little bit more the aesthetic direction of it, and I'll pull from classic Traveller, Mongoose Traveller, and that sort of thing, and try to create something that fits into that aesthetic, but maybe has the more Second Dynasty vibe to it. So I think that's about 10 minutes of blathering on already. So let's have a look.
Why don't you go over the project?
Yes,
let's look
why
at
don't
the
I
project.
go over the project?
Hurrah!
So Mongoose kindly also said, yeah, you guys feel free to use our art. And that has made things a little bit easier for us, because normally we would have had to pay a hell of a lot for upfront prices to
Michael says, blather away.
Blather away. We would have had to have like a lot of runway and a lot of budget. As it is, we're still launching at a time where we don't feel like we're 100% where we would have liked to have been before launch. But we do have full lists for the primary 60 miniatures. We're going to discuss them. There's actually 80 in total, but we're going to reveal one each day, which conveniently also buys us a little bit of time. We do have a pool to choose from. And Mongoose, basically what they said is, we don't want to know... don't want to decide yet on general Traveller miniatures. Let's focus on the Fifth Frontier War, because they were obviously making a lot of content in that campaign this year. So basically, we've been told to stick to the books for that campaign series. And you can kind of see here the three different factions we decided to bring to your tabletop. And John here is no coincidence either. John works with me a lot. I'm very dependent on him. But he also has a print farm, and we're able to offer a very limited print run. So basically, whatever we sell in this campaign, we will print and send out to people. People have been amazed by the quality of his FDM prints, and then of course the miniatures we're going to do in resin. And was that on a... Do you want to tell us what kind of quality we should expect from those, John?
Absolutely. I'm using a semi-flex tabletop resin in a high resolution just machine. I'm using the Saturn Ultras. And in addition, there will be other parts printed on DLP, which I prefer the look of for certain parts. I will also be working through with the tank and the, what's it called? It's a fighter-ish thing? I don't know what you call those
Rampart.
things. No. The one for Zodani. It looks like a tank, but
it's a gravitic combat platform. And this is one thing about the Zodani. The names are unpronounceable to me, so I'm not even going to attempt it. Sorry if there's any real Zodani out there. Please don't control my brain.
we're so sorry. But we don't have the teeth to pronounce the things correctly like you guys do. On the note of that...
That's right. They actually have less teeth than we do.
Yeah, their teeth are different. They have to get dental work to disguise themselves as spies. I thought that was interesting.
Yes, I read that too recently. Very interesting.
Yeah, I was like, huh? I didn't know that. But we want to talk about... I want to bring in some of the questions. Like, all ones brought up, how many Zodani troopers will there be? Or how many in the entire faction?
Yeah, so each faction is going to have 20 miniatures. We don't have illustrations of all of them, but what we do have is a list of the poses and genders. Obviously, like, what we're having in the back, what we're keeping in the back of our minds is, at what price point can we offer these? Like, this is not a Chinese print run where we can get the unit price down to 50 cents or whatnot. It's considerably more expensive. It's a limited print run. It is 3D printed. Not that will affect the quality in particular, I don't feel. But we have limited means. And we also have a license, which has, royalty requirements. We have Kickstarter, which has royalty requirements. And we have overhead production costs. So we're kind of we're trying to figure out, what do we want to do? So we settled... Yep.
If you need that giant army full of things, all ones that even asked an auxiliary question, is there going to be also the ability to make them yourself, STLs?
Oh, yeah, of course. We always do that. So we'll get into the pledges in just a little bit, but each of the three factions has 20 miniatures, and those are a combination of... each one has unique poses, so there's no doubles in anything. Although, obviously, they are based off similar miniatures. We have not yet done the female Zodani infantry, because we didn't know at first if that was kosher. And apparently it is. And we also haven't done the heavy armor versions yet. So they are in production, or close to coming into production. Some of them of which we'll be able to show ahead of the end of the campaign. And then John did these nice little renders. I think actually he's got a nicer rendering setup for miniatures than we do. He's kind of faked the resin look.
Thank you.
Nice job. And then we have the Imperial Marines. So just to be clear, Mongoose suggested going for ground forces first, and then we see what the response is. Then we might tackle fleet action and that sort of thing. But generally, this campaign's supposed to gauge a little bit of the interest in, are people actually interested in this? We don't know exactly where we're going to go from here. It might eventually go into proper production, just using our miniatures, for example. We don't know. So
This is I want to bring in some more questions because people are really asking. They want to know.
okay,
They really think the 15 millimeter travel wargames will be epic now. That'll be printed on your own because it's a 28 millimeter scale. Jeff Jai was asking about there are two factions, several minis for each, a tank and a fighter for each. Are the fighters on different sides? When we talk about those two different factions and the Traveller faction as well, and they also said how these differ from the old Imperial Marines. So go
so
ahead.
yeah, okay, that's a lot of questions to get into. I mean, we can talk about the scale. I can see that's coming up as well in a little bit. But essentially, these are not your. When you think of the Imperial Marines, you think of the Imperial Star Marines in their TL-15 battle dress. These are not those. These are the grunts. They're going on the ground. They're just wearing combat armor. So for starters, these are not like our old classic Traveller style battle dress Marines that we had. And in fact, Mongoose said, we don't want to do battle dress yet. We're trying to figure out what the look should be. And we're going a bit back and forth about what the appearance should be, considering the tech level and how robust it should be. So these guys are all in combat armor, and the red one there is in heavy combat armor. I'm not sure if that's been published yet, but it will be from one of the upcoming campaign books for the Fifth Frontier War. Now what was the other question there, John?
They're talking about what are these two different ones? Are the different sides? They include a tank and a fighter for each.
Oh, right, yeah.
Talk
Okay, so
about
there's
it.
actually 3 vehicles per side to start. We may unlock more. We'll see. So for the Imperials, 20 Marines. For the Zodani, 20 Marines, or infantry, I think they're called. They don't have Marines, per se. At least that's my understanding. And then we have 1 fighter each, 1 light fighter, 1 equivalent of a main battle tank. And the Zodani have an APC style infantry fighting vehicle, I guess, and the Imperials have a light tank. So we'll get down to that in a little bit, and they have been modeled. It's just like only the main battle tanks have been printed at this point. But before we get into the vehicles, I just wanted to talk about the Flashpoint Travelers. Now, we did poll the community before we launched, because I had a gut feeling that people, sure, they might be interested in Traveller military stuff, but a lot of the time people are talking to us about, our miniatures are good for a broad spectrum of games, and that they would like civilians, and actually that there's not very many Traveller specific species on offer. And I tried to get Matthew to, maybe go along with a broader spectrum of characters, and I kind of weaseled my way into, okay, well, if it's in one of these campaign books, we can do it, right? And he's like, yes. Him and Cassie agreed to that. So what we actually did in the Flashpoint adventure series, there's actually these 4 characters. You have 2 human females, a human male, and a Varga. And we were like, well, they're unnamed, but they turn up throughout the module. And we're like, why don't we just make 4 core characters based on these? So you can see here, we've done our typical heroic poses. So normally when we do a heroic character, we don't just do the 1 pose. We do normally about 5, unless they're a sole survivor, in which case I think they get a few extra ones. But the general poses are action, idle, seated, and that's compatible with all of our seats at 28mm scale. I've got them right in front of me. Why am I blanking on this? Lying down, compatible with our beds. We haven't got the graphic up for it yet, but the Varga's lying down image is fantastic.
It's beautiful.
Maybe I could show it later. And then, of course, we have 0G. So We've done this ever since we did Sleipnir, which was our Expanse style campaign, which is a bit ironic considering the timing of this campaign. I do understand.
We're not talking about that. We're not talking about that. Next part.
Yeah, rather unfortunate timing. Hopefully there's still some love for Traveller out there. And in any case, so we have 20 miniatures in all for those characters, so 5 per miniature. So these are ideal for like player characters where you want a different miniature for different situations. And then of course you could just use some of the idle poses as civilians or whatnot. So there is quite a lot of variance.
What about previous things? Are there going to be previous items available as add-ons for this Kickstarter?
We have not added them yet. The short answer is yes. The long answer is at the moment, if you want past items, it's kind of as a part of our sort of Traveller Collector 5 pack, which has every single Traveller campaign we've done, all of the STL files. It is a hefty sum. The value of the products inside it are worth easily more than twice as much, but we will add, I think, the base ships that we've done. It's just there's a lot to add, and to be perfectly honest, we're running late with everything. So let's just slip back into the vehicle so we can see them here a little bit, and we'll have, you can see Hannes holding the Rampart 3 there. This is a very special model, because when I was studying up on the Fifth Frontier War, I've done, or rather we have done, a classic Rampart design. Not the original version, which fit into the Azanti lightning launch tubes, which are supposedly only 3 meters in diameter. We did one based more on the Rob Caswell designs from, I think, Mega Traveller. And, I hadn't seen the Rampart in Mongoose. I understand it's in one of the TAS books. I don't have that particular one. But when reading up on the lore, I noticed that the Rampart they were referring to was called the Rampart 4 and the Rampart 5. And I'm like, hang on a minute. There must be a Rampart 3. And not only that, the Rampart 4 and 5 come out later in this war. So I'm like, there must be some Rampart 3s around there somewhere. So I said to Matthew, hey, can I design an earlier version? What I envisage for this is that it is a more expensive, more expensive to produce, lower volume of units made fighter that will get replaced with something that can be put on the production line much quicker and is more effective for the job at hand. And he's like, yeah, great. And maybe we can start it up. And I'm like, yeah, great. And if we could work that way in the future, I'd be very happy. So yeah, I'm not sure we have any graphics for that close up here, but in the reward section, you should be able to see it as an add-on. You know what am I doing? I'm at my computer.
You have all the files there.
I literally have everything. So let me just get into our Kickstarter graphics folder there, and it should be in add-ons, and I should be able to just open up our big one. Albin finished painting this today. No. So here we have it. This is the printed and painted version. And Albin did a fantastic job for such a limited amount of time that we had. I think you can expect even higher quality because this was just done on my bodgy printer. Well, it's not bodgy, but John is much, much better than I am at doing this sort of thing. So let's see, we can get a little bit closer, close off a few things here. So it's just slightly more aerodynamic. It actually has our missile slots underneath too. So if you wanted to actually have 6 physical missiles, you could install them. And yeah, let us know what you think of the look of the design. And I need to be real careful here because we are, about 5 minutes off launch? So
5 minutes, 40 seconds.
Yeah. Let's see if we can get this back up again and go back to the campaign. So this time,
You
yeah,
got
you
some
can.
praise for that. People calling it very nice. Love it.
Yes, this kind of looks like a render, but it's actually a physical print that John did, and sometimes it's hard to tell. And some people have even made comments like thinking that what they're getting in FDM is resin. I think they're being overly generous considering the
Yes, they
difference in the
are.
technique. But I think they're referring to the very good um, print quality that comes with that. And I have to agree on that. It's very, very nice quality wise. So let's see. We've got 36 people in here. It's almost like people are anticipating this launch. Um, to be fair, we never attract a huge crowd, just to be fair, but we're usually at 15 to 20, not really 30 odd people. So, anyway, we have our reward tiers here to start with. Just throw us a fiver if you just want to add the add-ons, like say you want one vehicle. We have a single faction in STL formats at 30, 50 for a single faction of 20 miniatures. So you're at about, what, $2.30 or something like that per miniature, which I think is quite reasonable. And of course, in STL, it's much cheaper than that, and we're really mostly doing that because that's what the market expects at this point. We will jack up the prices quite considerable when they're, made into individual miniatures. Then we have our sort of all-in version for today and tomorrow. That's at €90, and that includes all 80 new miniatures, because it's like I mentioned before, there's 20 per faction, 3 factions, and then we're releasing a new mini design each day of the campaign, except for today, so starting tomorrow. So it will total 80 miniatures, at least. We may have even more in STL, I don't know, but physically we wanted to do a run of 80. And then, of course, it includes the 6 vehicles in that cost. They can be quite large, like the Zidani vehicles in particular are very large. We've not done interiors yet. We're still trying to decide where we're at with that. We may well do interiors in STL format, and then what we'll sell is the base form without an interior, and then if you want an interior upgrade, you pay extra in the pledge manager. Just the same way as, we often have like clear glass components or that sort of thing that are a bit more expensive that you can upgrade to. If you want the physical stuff, all 3 factions, 60 miniatures, €140, or you can get all 80, so the extra 20 by going the 5th Frontier War route. 155 early bird, so that gets the price per miniature. I think it's under €2 per miniature at that point. So, like I said, we're very, very small. I'm actually completely against manufacturing things in China. And also, we're just doing this on such a small scale anyway that it didn't make sense to mass produce it. So, it's kind of like, I guess, a boutique type item at this time. And then, of course, we have our insane pledges, which we usually just put in. Traveller Collector 5, which is every Traveller design we've done in STL format. So if you've never seen what we've done a 28mm scale Beowulf. It's absolutely enormous. If you see that video, the pitch video, it's right there at the top of the video, how big it is. And then the $1,200 kitchen sink, it sounds like an insane price, but it's like at market value, I think it's almost €7,000 worth of stuff, including all our ships. There's well over 30 28mm scale ships, including our Sleipnir, which is Expanse stuff, just saying. And then, of course, we had our add-ons down here a bit lower, so you can kind of see the scale there of the Imperial tank compared to the 28mm
1 minute.
Marine. 1 minute, yeah, all right. John's just like, come on, man, don't miss this. Let's see. Okay, 30 seconds, all right. We better go through the process of actually getting this
Yes.
getting this done. So I'm just going to go to project overview here, and then all we need to do is go, I'm ready to launch. I've read the rules. I've done this 11 times before now, and let's launch We're going to be a few seconds early, probably. Yeah, we're launched. And actually, right on time. So get in there if you're planning to back. I'm just going to keep on babbling on about the campaign. Take a few minutes to look around, see if there's anything that tickles your fancy. And then we
Hot
will...
dog, we've launched. I see confetti.
You see confetti, yes. And we get
In
this
my
lovely
head.
little menu on the side that's for grown-up people. Alrighty. God, that feels good. You know what? I've earned this. Today
No one
is
pay
what we
attention.
call
He's drinking water from a glass. Ignore it. Community
amber
guidelines.
water. Amber
Yes.
water. This is what they call Norrlands Guld. The gold of Norrland. This is a light lager. And in Sweden, they call Wednesdays Little Saturdays. Lilla Lördag. So it is in some spheres considered appropriate to drink. Oh shit, we've got 5 backers already. I just blinked and didn't notice. Thank you guys.
Let's talk about that. I'm going to talk about the first person to back, who was not the usual backer. Was it Joshua this time?
Very good.
I actually don't know if it's this person, but I'm gonna just say Rory the Tank Man, you are our first backer. Congratulations.
There we go, nice. So, we're looking for €30,000 to fully fund, and I guess now I can actually look at the full project page instead of going back and forth. So we were down at the add-ons. We're going to have to add some more here of our older stuff. I just didn't have the time. And you might also notice that right now, both the daily reveals and the stretch goals are quite empty. And we do have a link there to Mongoose Publishing for the particular line of games that this is based off of. No particular deals, but I think their PDFs are actually quite reasonable. I think it was about €22, and the books are considerably long. I think the Fifth Frontier War campaign book, for example, is almost 200 pages, 194. So worth checking out if you haven't. I would say it's not the kind of campaign where you can just pick up the campaign, you don't need anything else. It's basically just mapping out the Fifth Frontier War era. And basically, for those who don't know, Traveller is set in a far future, it's at least 5,000 years in the future, I think, although on a different calendar. Much in the same sense as like in Star Trek, there's like an ancient species that seeded the galaxy with human-like people. Humanity itself, which is spelt with an I instead of a Y, has spread out amongst the stars, and the FTL faster than light travel method that they have is using jump drives, which sort of like jaunt you into an alternate reality. It always takes about 1 week, and you can travel a specific number of parsecs. Now, in the Third Imperium, which is the main setting for the book, there is a Roman-like empire, I guess. But there is such a thing as psionics, and in the Empire it is banned. Now, on the border, there is another offshoot of humanity, the Zidani, who actually have embraced psionics instead. And they have chosen to invade the Third Imperium. And this, I think it's like the third or fourth time they've done it. The Fifth Frontier War is the name of the campaign. I'm not sure if it always was Zidani against the Empire. But amazing. And yeah, by the way, guys, for those of you who already have backed, thank you so much. Much appreciated.
Over 2,000 backed.
What? Oh, dollars.
Over 2,000.
Oh, euros.
Yes.
Sorry. We chose to leave it in euros instead of krona because I think people are mostly familiar with that currency. I would have done it in US dollars if we could, but you know, it also helps us at the moment because the crown is stronger against
It's perpetually in a strange place. Question for you.
Yes.
On the physicals, do the physical early birds get the STLs as well?
So no, they don't. Um, we hadn't. I kind of considered doing a pledge that has both of them, but basically, how to put this delicately, I'm not making very much money at all on the physicals. Um, you know, we're trying to keep the cost down as close to cost as possible. Mongoose has their share. Kickstarter has their share. Um, I just can't give them away. What we'll probably do is add, and the other thing too is we can't really control pricing on add-ons. So I would say there's a couple of different ways we could possibly solve this if you want both. One is to just like make it known that you want a pledge that includes both. It has happened before that people have backed both. And I was meant to have an add-on. I forgot about it. Where basically you could get the all-in pledge upgrade to a physical one. But I also thought that Kickstarter had more specific rules for what you can assign add-ons, and it appears they're general now. I might just be, Mandela affecting that one, but I felt like it was more complicated before. So, should we talk about stretch goals, or were there more questions first?
Well, people were asking questions, but some of them feel like about like Striker. Is there going to be a Striker release? Would be epic. Things like about Traveller itself. Are there plans for a Striker 3 release? Comments on the price. It's cheaper than Warhammer, which is completely true.
I mean, you're
People are saying
not.
they're going to back
Yeah,
it when they get paid tomorrow.
yeah. You. The thing is, you're not getting Warhammer quality, or rather, how to put it nicely. The vehicles will not be like I mean the Warhammer stuff is injection molded for the most part. They're mass produced, um, and yeah, I think honestly you can get equivalent quality with the miniatures themselves, the character figures, and maybe we should get up some more. Let's browse the folders or something where you had your renders in. They're nice. Um,
Thank you, sir. Yes, people were mentioning they want both. That's why they agonized over the add-ons. I'm adding some of my own emphasis. This oh, Storin was asked what book do you recommend to with this Kickstarter campaign, and there's actually an outright book made for this Kickstarter campaign
yeah,
that goes with it called The Fifth Frontier War. It's actually
exactly.
out now, but if you order on Amazon, you won't get a delivery yet. Amazon still doesn't have the books yet. But if you buy it through
The
Mongoose, I
PDF
believe they
version
can
is
ship it
out,
now.
and the physical
Yeah.
version, well, we have it. But
Amazon doesn't have it yet. That's December.
yeah, I think it only just came out and I think Mongoose tried to like, yeah, you can get the PDFs now. They're usually like about a 3 month delay between when the PDF comes out and the physical book. So yeah, the link is down the bottom there, where to get more Traveller. Um, yeah, so when it comes to the vehicles, it's just one of those things where it's like, where do we find the balance? And we always have to keep in consideration how small our studio is, if you want to call it even a studio. Really, it's just me, Albin, and John for the most part, and then we have a bunch of fine
Lisa.
sculptors as well. Yeah, and Lisa, like, yes, but she's not modeling. Um,
Yes, she is. Her beautiful scarf.
okay, she paints actually, so that's not fair at all. She's done a whole heap of wonderful painting. Of course, we do what we can manage, and there's times where I kind of feel like we're just faking it for the most part, but at a certain point, you've got to consider it somewhat professional, I guess. Um, so yeah, just designing for Traveller. Um, the designs might not always be the choices and directions that I would go. I think the Zodani are very strange looking vehicles. And it's interesting to try and wrap your head around the practical side of things. Also, the turrets on some of the tanks, when you take the tonnage into consideration, actually end up bigger than starship turrets, which is an incongruency. So we based the scaling of these vehicles on how many displacement tons they should take up. As in, like, we actually laid out, cubes and measured the volume and then made the vehicles roughly fit into that. So there is, a 10% leeway there, I guess. But roughly they should be about the right size and scaled, obviously, to a lot of the interiors on our other ships. So as far as stretch goals go, the daily reveals, it's going to be other miniatures. The stretch goals are probably going to focus more on, actually, I got one I was working on in Photoshop here. Well, what did I do? So this is just a military era from the Zodani, and thanks to Mongoose, we don't actually need to sketch this out in, I say sketch, but I mean model it out in Maya. We can actually use their art and go from there, and basically that way we're not investing resources in modeling something that might not be unlocked. So these stretch goals themselves, this is how it's going to work. If you're an STL backer, they will be included in the 5th Frontier War pledge level for STL as, bonus items. If you're on a physical pledge, we'll add them to what you can actually buy, and it'll be based on as near to cost as we can afford, to make sure we keep the lights on. So this would be an example. Other examples, let me maybe I can just go into this folder and we can look at some of the artwork that we've picked out. So these miniatures will be some of the ones that end up on these daily releases. The first one is probably going to be Duchess Delphine, who
Fast 4000
looks suspiciously like Avasarala. But that's from official Mongoose material, so it is what it is. But as far as mechs and that go, warbots for the Zodani, we haven't finished all of this just yet. And some vehicles, I like this Sword Welder IFV, for example. That would be cool to do. We've got another Zodani fighter. Just as possible expansions. I know you guys really want to see aliens, so I'm trying to put Matriarch Sears into the pronunciation of the aliens is going to be wrong. Maybe Bishop Lewins there, who is also an alien species. We have, Zodani nobles. We have Zodani officers. We have Zodani, I guess these are more nobles, just not in armor. Scions, security.
This is amazing work, sir. And having the art to do it. People are curious, though.
Yeah.
Do the stretch goals work with the single faction pledges, like the STL faction pledges?
So, we're going to have two kinds of stretch goals. And we've done this for the last little while. Ideally, we would have put this up beforehand. The short answer is, if it's STL based, if you have a single faction, you'll have access to the social stretch goals. So what are social stretch goals? Basically, we're going to have some targets we want to meet. However many comments on the campaign page will unlock a point. And then, I think the easiest way that we could do this is actually to look at our last campaign. Because we have that in place. So if I just quickly, let's see, I should be able to bounce over to, oh, that's nice to see, so nice to see. Let's exit the preview here and go back to Kickstarter. And then I should be able to just access Soul Survivor here. And then I'm just going to scroll down to our the bonus situation. So this was our sort of alien-themed campaign that we had with a shuttle. I'm still working on Typhon, the larger version of it, as we speak. But you can see here that we had stretch goals that were related to how much funding we got in. And then we had stretch goals called social goals. And basically this is stuff like shares on Facebook, views on YouTube, comments on, I'm just reading off the screen here, but all of these milestones, right? And once we hit those milestones, a new point is accumulated. And then those points unlock different items on credit. So you can see here there's a bunch of different new miniatures, creepy ones and everything based on what was unlocked. So to cut a long story short, the faction-based ones will get the social goals that we unlock. Everyone gets that because everyone contributes to it. And the Fifth Frontier War pledge for STLs will get everything STL related that's unique to this campaign. And once again, the physical pledges, you're getting what you paid for. They're physical objects. We can't afford... We are not in a situation where we can, be Reaper miniatures or CMON games, for example. This is what we can do with the limited resources that we have. So, best case scenario, they could be added as add-ons after the fact in the pledge manager. Something like that might be manageable. But we're also trying to keep things at a level where people can, work. Well, basically, John needs to know what to expect. We do have plans in case this is a wild success. But based on our past campaigns, we don't expect that. We expect that we'll probably do somewhere between 400 and 600 backers, and that's it. And the last Traveller campaign we did with the small craft, I think 140 craft was sold all up. So we're not expecting a massive run. But you never know.
It's exciting, the opportunity to create the physical things in a small print run.
Yeah.
And I'm really looking forward to seeing what others people create and what adventures they have in the Traveller universe.
For sure. At the moment, too, it's important to note we don't have any particular bases that we're providing. So these are being provided unbased. This might be...
But the physical do have bases.
Do they?
Yes, well, if you order a physical, I provide bases.
Oh.
Simple bases.
There you go. But they're just like a little coin. That's it. And then you would glue them to the coin.
Yes, they are. They have two. They have a smooth side and a textured side. So you pick which side you like.
Great. So yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see how this does. I'm not thinking we probably won't get funded tonight because we did set the goal quite high. We do have Mongoose behind us, so it'll be nice being able to pop up in their social media stuff as well. But I think really, to cut to the chase, I'm exhausted right now. I've pretty much been working full time for the last 2 days. Worked over the weekend. Okay, fine. I played Civ for like 4 hours, but that's it.
So you don't have to admit.
Well, I mean, it's good to admit when you have an addiction to something, especially when I'm at the point where I load up Civ 6 and I'm just like, Ben, what are you doing? This is just going to be a time sink. And then, it's midnight. And it was exactly what I was expecting. All right, do we have any other questions?
You can look through.
Oh, I could actually read them?
Yes, believe it or not.
Yeah, so...
I've read all the major ones to you.
Okay.
The rest are more comments.
How many people do we have right now? I don't have access to that. Oh,
we have about 32 watching right now.
Yeah, nice. So, welcome, guys. Yeah, we're not usually streaming this late. John was the one that said, "Hey, let's launch when people are bored at work in the US." So, let us know if you're currently bored at work in the US. How about that? And cheers to you guys.
I'm drinking a chocolate milk to celebrate.
Yeah. It is a bit ironic that John's actually physically in the office instead of in his office in the United States, and I'm at home 4 kilometers away. But
Wait,
such is dog watching.
Oh.
What?
I'll leave that alone.
Yeah, you leave that alone. Or I'll fight you, John. And you know who's going to win.
I know exactly who's going to win. Benjamin.
Yes. See, this is the... Should we do any show and tell, John?
I think we should show that Ben is in the office as well. Let me turn my camera on. I want to show all of you people that since you stayed on for this, I'm going to go grab the wonderful, uh, amazing item.
Yep.
I,
Let me
I'm
just
a,
do a pop out here so we can see John. We can see you, I think.
Excellent. I'll be right back with a special surprise.
It's not a special surprise at all. It's
Normally,
horrifying.
this scared the other person who came in early, and I didn't tell them about it. And this is so Ben can always be with us. Isn't it beautiful?
If you don't know about Benjaminin, or Benjaminin, I should say, maybe you should run
It is.
before you
This is
find out about it.
the best part is the inside. Oh,
Yes.
this was made as a surprise for Ben
Yeah.
because he's been so stressed out. It's him, and I put it on your seat against the head pillow, and the head pillow with the strap holds it up, so it's a little higher than your head height. So when you come in, you think it's Ben for just a split second, and then you get creeped out.
Yes.
Perfect.
For a split second, they could mistake that for being me.
Someone did. Someone did. I'm not putting it on because
No, that's
you put it
mine.
on already. Yeah, don't
Keep,
worry.
keep your mouth breathing out of that mouth.
And nothing. It's like
How about, John, you go and get one of our tanks instead?
yes. Okay, fine. I'll get something actually related to the campaign. I have to take my headphones off each time.
So yeah, in case you're wondering what that horror was all about, we do have a tribe on My Manufacturer where we release one science fiction vehicle every month. Although John started a cult with a creature known as Benjaminin. He is one of the old ones, we assume.
Cancer, but there are little miniatures on the tanks, and they're very easy to fall off unless they're tacked on. Can't hear you yet.
No, we can hear you though. We can hear you.
I'm going as fast as I can. Okay.
Alrighty.
This is the Zidani.
So this is the
tank.
Zidani equivalent of a main battle tank. It's 37.5 D-tons, which you can see is absolutely insane. Yeah, it's a shame. It's a shame we can't do the full office tour, but I guess it's a little hard to keep. You don't knock the officer off there. Can you zoom into the officer who's pointing? He's kind of hard to see. There he is.
Hello.
So he's going to get swiped if he's not careful. Did you bring the vast steel?
I brought these two because they're the ones people. Yeah.
So this is the Varstel M main battle tank. Or battle tank, I think. I don't know that it's an MBT, but I keep calling it that. So at the moment, the barrels can twist around. Sorry, the turrets can twist around. They don't actually have any elevation at this point in time. This is not because we don't normally provide elevation, but because we're trying to make it as screen accurate as possible based on the art, basically. And it was kind of like we could put a barrel on, but it wouldn't be our usual, being able to pose it sort of thing. So we might address that in the future. I don't know. When you move like that, John, it's just so wavy.
I'm sorry, I have a laptop webcam. I didn't have time to plug in a USB port.
Yeah. One of the vehicles I would like to do is a classic style Trepidator. I need to get permission for that first, although I feel like maybe I can get away with an interpretation. One of the ones that we will definitely do, I feel, is because the Zodani have an APC. It is modelled, but it's not printed. And since the Imperials don't have one, we do have our classic style one. Let me just turn John off. There we go. We do have a classic style APC, a G carrier, but it is more like the sort of like Mega Traveller era style vehicle. So there is the possibility of doing the... Oh, I keep wanting to say Kestrel, but it's something completely different. The Astron, thank you, Tamsin. Yeah. Yes, it is in Mongoose Third Imperium. It's one of those art pieces where I don't know if I can find it on my other screen here, because I feel like it's maybe in the Third Imperium. The nice thing with working with Mongoose is they're quite happy to send me any book I ask for. So that's very nice. Any of their books. So let me just double check. Let's see, sales material, and then we want to be in the 5th Frontier War campaign. So I'm just on my other screen here. And I want to go to my references, and I think we have one for the Third Imperium there. And I will just look and see, because I think it's in that book. Maybe not. Maybe not. Imperial Military Forces. Maybe it's in there somewhere. But I wanted to show off the image. That was the main thing. And I have this like feeling like I've seen non-human Marines in one of these books, but for the life of me I can't find the image again.
Oh, it's page 31 of the Third Imperium. He's telling us a page number, Tamsin.
Oh yes, lovely. Okay,
sorry. Everyone is a boy on the internet.
Let me get this over. So, whoa.
We just surpassed 7,000 euro.
Sorry?
We just went past 7,000 euro.
Wow, that's impressive, guys. So this is the Astron, but if we look at the model, and this does to me look like a very primitive 3D model. You can kind of see from the harsh edges here. Let's see if we can zoom in a bit more. But the real giveaway is the texture. Sorry,
you don't think it was a paint over?
Yeah, actually, it could be a paint over. But this texture in particular, it doesn't speak to me very much. I would try and go a bit more in a classic direction. But and then we also have the tanks that we actually have. This is the Trapeller for Mongoose. But the classic version, if you ask me, looks a little bit nicer. And actually, if we go to, I think a few pages up, we actually have this image. So this should be a Trapeller here. And this is a lot closer to the classic artwork. So technically it's in one of the books that they provided. So I might have to get cheeky on that one. This is one which I wouldn't mind making. But you can kind of see too from the scale of the figures that we're not too far off with what we've got. And although I can tell you right now that if this is let's check the tonnage on that tank again. So we had the stats down here. So that's an Invader Light at 30 tons. And the Trapeller is 24. How is a light tank heavier than... What? A light grav tank is 30 tons shipping. And the Trapeller grav tank is meant to be a heavy grav tank, and it's 24 tons.
Don't think about it too hard.
This stuff bothers me so much. I've got to... Yeah, it does bother me a little bit when these kind of incongruencies. I'm one of the guys that looked at the old Robotech RPG, and I'm just like, dude, you mistook a 180 meter destroyer for a space fighter. Doesn't work. So this one's pretty big at 20 tons. That would be a very big APC actually, but supposedly it's the same body as the Trapeller. So I'd probably do something interesting. But also the other thing about these tanks in particular, and why we're doing a different design, I believe, is based on the timeline of the 5th Frontier War. Like, I think the Trapeller comes out in, like, I want to say 1109, and the start of the war is, like, I want to say 1107 or something like that. This is the reason why I got to do the new Rampart. And actually, we could load up Maya and have a look at that. So let's just save this off. think it should be safe underneath. I don't dare run Maya at the same time as I run anything else. So, or rather, not Adobe products. Although I do have one in the background there, so we'll see what happens. All right, starting to get warm in here. There's more beer to drink though to cool down. The weird mist forming outside. It kind of feels like Ravenloft.
It feels like I should not go outside, sir.
I mean, I'm sure you'll be fine, John. So you want Traveller 5. Let's go and open the Rampart 3. Alright. So, I guess I had started modelling some other stuff in here from the Telatl. So let's delete that. Why did that not delete? There we go. And we turn that off. And we can turn the grid off too. So this is what it looks like close up. This is actually one of our pilot designs. It's not an Imperial pilot. We do have some Imperial pilots done. They just didn't quite fit into... It felt wrong to have them as a part of the Imperial faction. So not sure how we reintroduce them, because they do have 4 poses, and that would take up a significant amount of the poses that we have for other characters.
Just maybe put them in the other faction, just like one of them.
Maybe. We'll see.
Because I think you will forget there's there's 3 factions, but then there's 20 reveals.
Yeah, there's a hidden
and they could be
faction.
They could be Zodani, they could be Imperial, they can be something else.
Yeah. Actually, John, how does it look in the statistics? What's our top seller?
Sure thing, sir. Let me get that for you.
So
bestseller is our early bird everything.
Okay, the 2 early birds.
STL.
But physical versus STL, which one's more popular?
STLs are significantly more popular, sir.
Okay.
According to the backer report, we have an over 90% choosing the STLs over physical.
This probably is not that shocking, because I think most of our marketing goes out to our past customers, and that makes sense. So, yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff we could potentially farm, but everything needs to be routed through Mongoose approval, is essentially the thing. Now, we have worked together enough that we've got to the point where it's like initial approval, so it's kind of like if I was getting a manuscript done, we'd get them to approve the art that we're going to base it off, and then from there we're like, okay, now you're handing creative control over to us. So yeah, this is my Rampart 3 design. It's supposed to be a little bit more aerodynamic than the other ones. It was ultimately decided that this was not necessary, considering the grav tech and everything like that, so that the Rampart 4, they opted for a cheaper design. Now you can see these little peg-shaped holes here. So these 2 are for our modular stands, which we could probably add as an add-on, now that I think about it. And these under the wings are for missile pylons or weapons pylons. You can choose what you like. And then these little bulbous things are the backup RCS system, or rather the backup RCS, because I guess reaction control system. Basically the thrusters in case like the main drives go out, or I don't know. I assumed like the grav drives on them, the maneuver drives, kind of let them fly a little bit more like planes or something by directing where the thrust's going. But yeah, I don't know. It still has a kind of conventional look to it. But this is very much a marriage of our design aesthetic, the Rob Caswell designs that I prefer, and yeah, just in general, a Yeah, this is basically what you would end up with. Something that's a marriage between our design, Mongoose design, and classic Traveller designs. Yeah. And of course, the cockpit can be opened. You can put the miniature in. And one thing that we haven't really highlighted is, and let me just, I think I could just get into Process Slicer maybe. Because the Rampart is fully printable. It's been test printed by some people as well. I think Fabian in particular did a multicolor version that's really cool on our Discord. We should add Discord links. Let me see. I'm in the wrong project, so let me get into Traveller 5. We want to get into export there, and we want to go into the Rampart 3 and look at this build plate. This is for a Bamboo Labs, but it doesn't matter. You can import it into here. But you can kind of see this is how the parts are provided in STL. By the sounds of the people backing, STL is most popular here. And we design as much as possible to be support free. So technically, you don't have really good adhesion, but everything can technically print as it is. Now I add supports to this because it's just a little bit too flimsy, and I would probably support under the rear landing gear there just to make sure. But in general, this thing just prints very quick and easy, and I'm looking forward to seeing whatever John will do with it to make it even more optimized. Because you were getting down my prints to almost half the weight I had them at.
Sir, I appreciate that, but that's from custom infills, which is a very fun thing to do.
You can see with the slicer too, when we set that go. I don't know if I'd call it fun, John, but I think that's because I want to spend most of my time designing. You can see even the cockpit here with the stick in place actually acts as a built-in support for the keyboard there. So there's not too much bridging, and yeah, it comes together nicely, and we provide these 3MFs, which you basically can just load straight into your slicer, go export G-code, and get printing straight away. So I can imagine that we'll be doing more of this.
I wanted to just bring up to Storin, who bought a Bamboo Lab because of what we recommend and what he has, the Scout ship. The perfect settings for them is completely unique to each printer, but I will just tell one quick hint. You can dramatically reduce retraction to have a better quality print without much negative, as long as you dry your filament or keep it in a dry spot. Drop it as low as 0.5 without issue on PLA.
Yeah. Yeah, that's one of the brilliant things I love about having John over here, because he'll be fine-tuning my printers for me.
Be well.
Be well, you two, young. See you tomorrow.
I'll see you tomorrow.
Bye, Martin.
I forgot I was on stream.
It's all right. It's all right. Yes. So, in any case, we're probably going to wrap things up soonish, because, quite frankly, I'd like to sit and enjoy my beer and cry a little bit. but it is nice to have everyone here in the chat. Do not research local Swedish folklore before venturing outside, especially with that mist. I think it's quite thick now, isn't it?
It's enough to where I can't see. About 50 meters away is just fog.
Yeah, the other day when I was driving to work on Monday, I think when I started off towards work at 9 o'clock in the morning or something like that, I said there was 2 lampposts worth of visibility, and I mean maximum visibility. So it was a bit iffy. It was a bit iffy. I can't believe we're almost to 100,000 crowns already. That's kind of incredible. I'm a little frightened that we're already going to hit our goal overnight, which would be absolutely fantastic. And I'm looking forward to seeing how things progress. We will get up some stretch goals tomorrow and have some community work. If you want to get ahead of that, get into the comments and start commenting. That's definitely going to be one of the places that's counted. Share the project. You can feel free to share the graphics from the project. We'll probably make some areas available too. For example, sharing on Instagram or whatnot. Interesting that some people brought up social media that I forgot even existed. So it'll be interesting to see how it gets shared there. I'm kind of like in my mid-40s at this point, so mostly just stick to Facebook and Instagram, and really I'm forced to do so just out of necessity. We're a little bit reliant on that social media to get the word out. So if you have alternative methods, if you're in Traveller groups, in forums, if there's other areas you can think of that might be interested in this campaign, please do help us spread the word. While you're still here, why don't you give us a like and follow if you want to stay updated on the project. We'll be streaming once a week, starting next on Friday. Not necessarily all campaign stuff, I'd say it'll be about 50-50. Because with this campaign, we're probably not going to be doing most of the modeling for vehicles until we've actually secured what vehicles we're going to be doing after the campaign. So you will note that the delivery dates for the STLs are set for December. It might actually be sooner than that. We don't know yet. We just want to be on the safe side, and we also wanted to add a bit of distance between when getting the physical stuff out. So that should be closer to June next year, but I can't imagine that it will be too much of an issue getting that out earlier. But yeah, we just wanted to create a little bit of distance between ourselves, not sort of tie ourselves up. And I'm working on other things. Sorry?
I'm building literally the shop.
Yes.
And I have the walls up, I have the ceiling up, I have the main thing, I'm going to have wiring done, the insulation's almost ready. So it's going to be, when that's done, I can start the printing, because I don't want to kill myself with the resin fumes.
Indeed. You need your own Benjamin and mask.
I should make Benjamin and air masks. It's a new market idea.
There would probably be one or two very sad people that would buy that. Well, who knows? It could be the next mask for Anonymous. Anyway, guys, I just want to say thank you so much. If I refresh this, it looks like maybe we've hit... Oh, we're so close to 100k. Just one more backer, I think. But it's nice to see the support. We appreciate it every time. I have no doubt that with your help, we're going to get this funded. Stay tuned and come back every day to see the new releases we're going to put up. So again, if you're in the sort of like Fifth Frontier pledge levels, watch this space under daily reveals as we show you what the other 20 miniatures will be, and also fill up the stretch goals. So keep an eye out. Thank you for joining us tonight, and yeah, thanks a lot. We really appreciate it. We've worked hard on this. We're still going to work hard to get this out, and hopefully it is the start of a long relationship with Mongoose Publishing, continuing with the Traveller license. So thank you guys. Signing off.